A very well morning to everyone, hoping for your wellness and safety. I, Dr. Dheeraj Rane, on behalf of Medicaps University, Indore, welcome you all to today's webinar. In today's pandemic situation where everyone is struggling in many ways, there are a number of opportunities which are also arising out of this pandemic. Therefore, Medicaps University presents a webinar on developing effectively IT infrastructure for post-COVID education system. But before we continue, let me introduce you to Medicaps University. In year 2000, we have started Medicaps Institute of Technology and Management with 240 seats in various engineering and management courses. In the year 2009, we have come up with Medicaps Institute of Science and Technology, where we have started few new courses in engineering, and we became Medicaps Group of Institution. And finally, in year 2 finance university, admission for started in 2016. Then we included many courses other than engineering like management, agriculture, pharmacy, design, commerce, science, art, etc. Today we have strong backing of all parents and the students since have created our own brand in this area. Today, more than 1,000 students have been passed out from and working globally, and more than 10,000 students are currently studying in various grants. Since the university started, we are lucky to have Professor Dr. Sunil Kesmani as the founding Vice Chancellor of the university. Now, let's give you the introduction of today's speaker. From Canada to India, from engineering to media, Dr. Sujay Nair's varied and interesting upbringing and education have served up as a prelude to his career profile. He is currently the president for corporate relations and strategic alliances at iNurture Education. He has been instrumental in institutionalizing robust industry collaborated learning strategies, including industry immersion programs, employability enhancement programs, internships and placements, center of excellence in new age of domain, etc. Highlight of Dr. Sujay's career is marked by his contribution in the Indian Cyber Warfare Group of Indian Armed Forces, consulting cyber defense, cyber offense, and cyber response strategies and tactics. Prior to iNurture, he was the editor-in-chief and CEO of Enigma Interactive, as well as founder and director of eScribes. His work experience is dotted with high-profile editorial positions at top in media companies including Times of India, 9.9 Media, and Jasu Bhai Digital Media, where he served as the editorial director managing their CIO, channel community, and other B2B portfolios. Prior to his media instinct, India, Dr. Nair has worked with Bell Canada and Protect Solutions in Canada and Middle East. In a career spanning over 25 years, he has worked extensively in the field of IT across the Middle East, US, and Europe. He has held extensive positions in fields of he loves and excels in technology, education, and media. His interest in journalism helped in a career shift from technology to media and has been key in introducing the first ever media property for the CIO community in India. Dr. Nair is a computer science graduate from Bangalore University, MBA from Portsmouth University, UK, and a PhD in artificial intelligence and robotics. He also holds certificates from various academic institutions. Now, I would like to invite our speaker for today's webinar. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dheeraj. It's a pleasure for me to be part of this, and especially a topic which is very close to my heart. Before I start, I hope all of you are safe. The situation in the country is not very conducive for open life living right now. And I hope that your families will be safe, and we'll get over this as soon as possible. But getting over this also um, has its caveats. I think life as we know it is going to cease to exist, and there's going to be a new normal in place. And that would mean redefining a lot of things in our lives around us. And the way we have to redefine our lives is going to mean a lot of things for us personally, professionally, as human beings, how we interact with each other, etc. Let me take you through a journey which I believe is going to be the next normal or the new normal, post things coming back to, in its sense, normalcy. And I call it the phygital world. It's a combination of physical and digital. And I'd like to take you through this. World Economic Forum has said that there is no coming back to normalcy after COVID. The world is going to be a very, very different place. The way we interact with people are going to be very different. But there is a path forward. And I think that is going to be, that's going to redefine normalcy. And that normalcy is going to be a world which is a combination of digital and phygital. All of you, I'm sure, from students to faculty to parents to everybody, I'm sure have heard that things are going digital, classrooms are going digital, from school children to higher education students have started taking classes online. Is that going to be the next normal for us? I don't know, but I beg to differ. I think this is just a start of a very, very different world that's going to hit us, and that's going to be something that we have to adapt to, and something that we have to be adept in to sustain and grow. And this world is going to be a combination of physical and digital. Let me explain it a little further. For the next 2 years, and I'm specific to higher education now, we're going to go through a lot of changes, right? Your leaders are going to tell you to do certain things in a very different way. Your HODs and your teachers and your vice chancellors and your management of institutions are going to tell you that this is the way we need to look at it. This is going to take over the next 2 years, while the entire education system is going to try to find the best fit solution to go phygital. And this phygital strategy is going to be a very, very important strategy, a very, very important step for the next many, many years to come in the higher education space. How is this going to be different, right? Not that I know about how it's going to be different in after 2 years. I don't think anybody knows that. But I think we have an idea how a world that is phygital is going to be going to look. We can probably have a very visual imagination of how the physical world is going to be. And this is going to be a student in that phygital higher education space. The world around us and the world around that student is going to be very different. The world of learning is going to be very, very different, right? The new world order, or the next normal, or the new normal is going to be very different for the student. And because students are the epicenter of a university, of an educational institution, it's going to be very, very different for all of us. The next frontier of innovation is going to start from inside the classroom. And believe me, and this is where the whole world, the physical and digital world, will converge. And that convergence is going to be very, very different from what you've seen till now. For thousands of years, 1,000+ years of education system in India, it's going to be very, very different, where very positive aspects of the physical experiences will integrate with the usefulness of what is offered by technology, or what we call the digital world. It's going to be a synergy between the realism, the virtualism, and yourself. And that's going to be a very, very synchronized synergy, where the real world experiences will become more engaging thanks to interactive mobile technology. And I'm not talking about technologies which are mobile, but any technology which enhances mobility. You're going to have classrooms which are going to be integrated into your mobile devices. It could be your laptop, it could be your mobile devices, it could be your tab devices. And where learning is going to happen in a very, very seamless manner, blurring all boundaries. It's not that you have to go to the classroom to learn. It's not that you're sitting in a garden to learn. It's not that you're sitting in a house to learn. Your learning is going to be very, very seamless through the experiences. That is why teachers are not going to be called faculty anymore. Educators are not going to be called educators. They're going to be learning experience designers who will experience the learning of students and blurring all boundaries. Technology is going to blur all boundaries of home to classroom to movement, right? And joy of learning is going to be augmented with the ease and access to technology, high-end technology, where technology is going to be ubiquitous, okay, in every aspect of learning. Augmented reality, virtual reality is going to be a moment of truth for the student. It's going to be in his hands. It's going to be part of his learning experience. Where learning is meant not only for acquiring knowledge, but also hones one's innate talent. And that's going to be very, very different from what we have seen, a few years back to what we will see, a sea change that we will see in the education ecosystem. Blurring of the physical and digital divides, this is what I call the phygital world. And how is it going to impact the education system? The impact on education system is going to be huge. Every one of us will have to imbibe that change. Some will have a problem imbibing that change. It's going to be taking some time for you, but you have no choice but to imbibe that change. And it's not that this change is pretty new. Colleges, universities have gone through multiple periods of change over the last thousands of years, right? And each time institutions or educational organizations or educational institutions have survived, have adapted to this change. And this change is going to be a very first step to what we call the new normal. I'm sure you would remember, this was the old library, right? This is no longer going to be a part of the university ecosystem. These are some of the most deserted spaces in the university today because of technology. And this is going to be the next classroom. This is going to be the next campus. There's going to be an emergence of online degrees which are physically tied, which have a combination of physical and digital, and thus phygital. And this is going to change. The ideal framework for a higher education ecosystem, okay, embedding physical strategies, will need some of these trending changes. And I'm sure you've heard of all this. There's integrated learning solutions. I'm sure you've heard of it. Augmented reality, you've heard of it. Personalized learning, you've heard of it. Bite-sized learning, Internet of Things, blockchain technology, artificial intelligence being embedded into the learning ecosystem. I'm sure you've heard of that. How the role of a teacher is changing. You've heard of that. Smart campuses, wireless presentation technologies, nudge tech, smart spaces. All of this you've heard. But we all thought today that, this is a slow change that's going to happen. Enter COVID. And the world has changed. And these trends are going to come to us much, much faster, right? Like a bus coming at breakneck speed, and you have no option but to adapt to all these changes that's happening in the higher education space. All these technologies, all these strategies will work together to achieve timely, personalized interaction with teachers, students, staff members, university stakeholders, parents, the entire ecosystem and stakeholders at large. And this is what the new higher education ecosystem will be. And disruption, some of the disruptions in my mind that you will see in the education system is going to be very, very different that you probably have never seen. The classroom as you see today will cease to exist right in front of your eyes. The walls that you see around you, the walls of a classroom that you see around you is going to change. They will no longer play a separation role that you had between classrooms. These walls will become the symbiosis of interaction between students, content, material, teachers, and all of this giving a learning experience to students. From blackboard and chalk, it'll go through whiteboard and digital monitors into what is called tomorrow the interactive wall. Your walls of a classroom are going to speak to students. Students are going to pick up their mobile phones, move it around the wall, and using augmented reality is going to download content, learning content into your students' mobile devices. This is going to change the whole appearance, the whole infrastructure, what is called walls in a classroom. Another thing that's really going to change inside that classroom of yours is going to be the desk. Desks are going to evolve. Today you have wooden desks. Tomorrow these desks are going to evolve and be part of the digital revolution in the learning space. These desks will evolve and become interactive devices. And it will help students submit their work, assignments, homework, classwork, everything to a cloud-enabled system, cloud accounts. Teachers are going to access these desks to provide feedback, to guide students. And that's going to be the desks of tomorrow. Education will lead sustainability. Till now, everybody was talking about sustainability in every area of work. Education has the power to lead sustainability. And it will lead sustainability, it will show sustainability and the importance of sustainability to students. And technology will actually help youngsters and to follow this path. Tomorrow, your physical laboratories are already, universities already talking about virtual labs. Yes, the current next 2 years is going to be your physical laboratories are going to become virtual laboratories where students can access these laboratories from any place, from any device. But tomorrow, these virtual laboratories are also going to change to very, very immersive learning experiences called holograms. The next couple of years to virtual labs, and learners will then start demanding to see, to touch, to experience what is shown in labs in a more authentic way so that the learning becomes more immersive. Holograms are going to help make this happen by engaging learners' attention, providing them possibility to explore the content and literally immersing themselves into that content. And this is going to be your next labs. They're going to be called experience centers. And even the students that you see on screen may not even be physically available there. They would probably be using virtual reality classes, right? This is 2 years beyond from where you're sitting today. These are strategies, some of the strategies that universities look for in the first 2 years and beyond in their moving towards a physical strategy, right? They are going to build a digital fortress around them. Everything that you have access to in a university is going to be through a digital medium. The university will start collecting data, processing data, analyzing data for better forecasting, and thus better decision making. Not that the universities are not using it today. They are using it today. But the amount of analytics that's going to be in universities tomorrow is going to be mind-boggling. Learning is going to be all through digital experiences. Like you and me are connected today, all experiences are going to be digitally enabled. All experiences will be digital experiences or through digital experiences. Future-ready structures will be enabled by technology instead of brick and mortar buildings. Your buildings are going to reduce and your future-ready structures of university, of learning ecosystem is going to be built and enabled by technology rather than the brick and mortar. Resilience from a student perspective, from a university perspective, from the ecosystem perspective is going to be built like never before. Everything is going to be based on what if strategies. And what if strategies will develop into very, very strong resilience model for universities, and automation and meaningful, secure automation is going to take over everything that's there in the university. Yes, does that mean losing? Some people will lose their jobs. Yes, some people will lose their jobs, but that also means job creation. This is going to be the strategy for universities. And let's just recap what happened in 2020. Unprecedented developments, right, to unimaginable proportions, and that created uncertain times. This kind of an experience has never been experienced by. So these have been the ways how we responded to this. So what did we learn from it? We learned that technology is not a farce. Even though we expect, young scholars to sit through grueling, exhaustive online class. To you, that has been my last slide.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir, for such an informative presentation. I hope that everyone is benefited with this, especially students. I understand that there are few hiccups, but that is part of this COVID scenario. So now I would like to introduce you all with today's second speaker, Dr. Suresh Jain. Dr. Suresh Jain is a professor and head Computer Science and Engineering Department at Medicaps University, Indore. He has experience of
32
over
years in
32
the
years
field
in the
of academics, research and
research and
administration.
administration. He completed his Bachelor of Engineering from Manit Bhopal in 1986, Masters of Engineering from SDS ITS Indore, and PhD in Computer Science and Engineering. He is ex-professor and HOD Computer Science and Engineering, IET DAVV Indore, and has served Devi Ahilya University over 20 years. He also worked with SD Bansal College for 6 years and Prestige Engineering College for over 3 years in the capacity of director. He has published more than 10 research papers in journals and conferences. Sorry, I just want to correct it. 100 research papers in journals and conferences of international repute. He is renowned academician and team leader. He teaches courses on artificial intelligence, computer graphics, and theory of
Professor
computation.
Jain is a
Professor
life
Jain
member
is
of
a
CSI and
life member of
ISC
CSI and
and is
ISC
guiding research in
and
the
is
field of
guiding research in the
NLP,
field of
machine learning,
NLP,
web
machine learning,
mining, and
web mining, and
information retrieval.
information retrieval.
10 students have completed
10
PhD
students
under
have
his
completed
supervision.
PhD under supervision.
Over to you, sir, please.
Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you, Dheeraj, for my nice introduction. Thank you, Mr. Sujay Nair, for introducing a new term which I came today, physical. And today we have realized the importance of technology in this COVID period. So I will extend my discussion on same line, which is already the ambience as said by Mr. Nair, and it is easy for me to continue on that line. So in this presentation, I am covering these 5 points. The sole purpose of education, what are the challenges we are facing, and how technology-driven environment is now the need of hour, which will help us to deal with education system and all the challenges. We need appropriate IT infrastructure, which will be aligned to meet out the objectives of our education system. So let us recall why we are today, what we are discussing. What is the sole purpose? So education is the process of facilitating learning, and which is nothing but acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, and beliefs. So in the soul, we are talking about the learning, how we can enhance this learning process, where we acquire new understanding, knowledge, behavior, skill, values, attitude, and preferences. So at micro level, learning is like it is an interconnection of neurons at brain level. But to achieve this, to make this learning more effective and fruitful, collaboration is very essential and very important. So to deliver the right knowledge, the correct knowledge, the desired knowledge, let us connect those peoples who are the person who has resources, which can be in the form of books, textbooks, maybe it can be experience of a person, their skill sets. So the technology is going to connect these points so that a learner, that is the epicenter students, they are really the beneficiary of this process. We all have realized this importance of online learning after this COVID pandemic, which resulted shutdown of education all across the world. And globally, almost 1.2 billion students are out of the class. So whole entire education activities are almost stopped, and we have to find out some ways to come out from this. And we all know the learning is a continuous process, should not be stopped. So in spite of all hurdles, we have to find out the path so this learning, the education should not be affected. Let us see the challenges are what we are educating. Is it sufficient to create to students which can take the challenges of 21st century? Just by sharing a knowledge or domain knowledge, identifying the facts, this is not sufficient. But can we develop this skill set amongst the student where he can learn the critical thinking, problem solving approach, and how to collaborate in a team? So this skill set is mandatory if you want to achieve the desired outcome from education. So it is based on learning and teaching, and the capacity of teachers with the help of technology should be built so that they are more effective in classrooms. So learning and teaching should not only focus on exposure of knowledge, but also it should build competencies that matters for employability and entrepreneurship. So keeping this in mind, let us align the technology which can actually help the education to meet out the objective. So to address these problems in education, let us have a technology driven environment. So sir has already talked about upcoming technology, but how it will come to our regular classroom so that teachers, they are the very important people because they are interacting with the students. Unless they are set, they learn these techniques, technology, they cannot deliver or they cannot do justice to the students. So it is a time for all teachers to learn these challenges, to identify how technology can be used for their effectiveness in the class. So it is the era of digital transformation. Their changes are very rapid and it is happening in almost every domain. So why not education domain should cater to identify the use of this technology. So there is a requirements of collaborative learning, and it should not only be confined because all the knowledge, the conventional method of teaching, where teacher is the source and students are the benefited by the knowledge which is delivered by teachers. So how we can enrich this learning experience so that it is more meaningful and there should be a fun, because if you want to achieve perfection, so unless the learning is not entertaining, you cannot, the students will never achieve the perfection which is desired in this process. So what all innovations we need in the education system? So technology can facilitate and empower the educators to become more robust and develop a more robust system of learning. So the job of teacher is to effectively integrate technology into subject areas, and teachers grow into role of advisor and content experts as a coach. So the role of teacher should change because technology can help him achieve these expertise. So let us find out how we can innovate in teaching, in learning process and assessment, which is not only confined to rote learning, but it should actually test the skill set developed in the students. So we have to find out better mechanism of teaching, learning and assessment with the help of technology. So how technology can bring? Yes, there are different areas where technology can help us. One is acquiring speed, efficiency, and agility. So the technology can help us in speeding the process of workflow so that all the mundane tasks where we are just dealing with the enrollments, student marks, their attendance, all these processes can be automated so that teachers can focus more on their important work which involves creativity. And the role of teachers using technology, we can find more time for this work. Second advantage of technology is storage and sharing. Anything which is created can be stored and it can be shared among all the students. Mobility and remote connectivity. So let us this boundary, the wall boundaries which sir has mentioned, can so that students can learn at different places. So time and space can he can learn by asynchronous mode. We are sitting at different places and at different times. Still, he can learn the lessons. So automation and communication, these are the five components which can help us in innovating the activities of our education system. This slides talks about how technology can help to learn better. So instead of learning in more structured fashion, where teacher, student, they all come together in a classroom at same time, at same position to learn something. The teacher is delivering certain contents uniformly to all students. And this can it be a more unstructured way of learning, where there is a flexible time frame, students can learn in small groups, unhomogeneous group. Not necessary that every classmate should be of the same class. They can learn from their superiors, juniors, and different project works. So the technology can help us so that we can move from a structured classroom to unstructured mode of learning. It gives flexible learning experiences. So instead of delivering the same content to every student in a class, because the group is not homogeneous, the learning abilities of students are different. So students of high IQ can be involved for solving more difficult problem, and students who are slow learner can devote for more time for their practicing. So this is possible with the help of technology, which is the problem with the existing method of teaching. It, the third advantage of technology that it motivates students to learn. So self-learning is motivated or with the help of technology is not only dependent on teachers, but there are so many websites, contents which are available, which is available with the help of teachers or instructors, where he can learn as per his interest and choice, as per his convenience. So this is feasible with the help of technology. For schooling, school children's, the connection of parents, if they are connected to their students, so they can know the progress and they can also contribute, especially on emotional parameters, so that children's learning is always that is taken care by the parents also. For teachers, yes, technology provides you handy tools so that you can enhance your classroom learning of your students by using more materials, different materials, useful materials for the students, and you can make your class a better, which can give a better learning experience. The role of students, some students in a class can work as a tutor for their classmates. If they are ahead of in certain contents, they know better than their colleagues, then they can also contribute in learning process. You can have an online discussion forum with, which is controlled by the instructor so that many discussions, the thought process of students can be catered with the help of this discussion forum. And this is possible. These points talk about project-based learning because if you want to develop the real skill set of the students so that they are ready for problem solving, so just by sharing the domain facts and knowledge, basic knowledge about the subjects, let us involve the students for project-based learning, which engage students for inquiry-based learning. They can work in a group or as an individual. This project helps students for more critical thinking rather than rote learning. Students have access to unlimited resources which they can use for problem solving. So you can prepare students for facing the real world situations when they pass out from the institutions that yes, they are ready and they just acquire the desired skill sets for problem solving. The advantage of technology is that collaborative learning and access of knowledge repository is now possible with the help of technology. We can now involve industry experts. The biggest challenge is they are having time shortage. So finding their time in classroom so that they can contribute in a class is difficult, but technology can enable this where for certain topics can invite industry experts with the help of webinar or communication channel so they can share their experiences with the students. The alumni, the pass out students, they are working in industry and they'll be happy to contribute for their juniors. So the research community, field experts, if all can collaborate, then we can create a better learning environment that can justify, that can make that what we are delivering to the students is more relevant and more rich content is now available. We have to also use the knowledge repository, which is taken now care by at national level, so that NPTEL, Coursera, and so many other knowledge resources are available, basic open online courses, which offers very good quality courses which students can learn uh, along with their regular classes. So it should be utilized, and this is all possible with the help of technology. Now, how the new universities or institutions or schools can adopt this technology? So what all IT infrastructure they can begin with so that these things are possible. So it is a challenge because if you want to be in education processes, if they are not adopting this IT infrastructure, they'll be obsolete and it will be absorbed by universities who are using this technology. So there is a requirement of high performance network, pervasive Wi-Fi access across the campus. It should have security solution, good computing and storage, and which can take care of the delivery of education content. So let us see this IT infrastructure in more detail. The first thing is that university having good number of students should have proper wide campus-wide network infrastructure, high speed, maybe ranging from 2 gigabits to 100 gigabits, depending upon the strength of the students and what content they are delivering in the campus. This is first and foremost requirement if university or institutions is adopting good IT infrastructure. And second is wireless access solution. So in a campus, students can access the learning materials as per their convenience. So there is a requirement of seamless and secure Wi-Fi access across the campus. Unified collaboration which will take care of different contents like voice, video, computing, data solutions, all should be integrated with the help of appropriate tools, softwares, so that students can get their contents in variety of forms. Compute and storage solution to run various applications for administration, examination, and evaluation e-learning materials. So there should be a storage and computing resources, which is part of this IT infrastructure. Those who are maintaining knowledge centers can use a data center which can host infrastructure of servers and storage to provide optimal performance 24 by 7 by 365 days. Desktop and server virtualization. For optimal computing resources and reduce the obsolescence, let us use a hardware which is server dependent, where there is no need to change your desktop every year, but you can use server virtualization, which can reduce the cost and utility will be better if we go for this technology. Security solution is one of the important aspects because information, there is a confidentiality, examination, all these processes are there. We have to use proper security solution in campus, which will take care of the requirements of confidentiality. E-learning and streaming infrastructure should provide these facilities to students. So, sir has already talked about the virtual labs, IoT-based learning, and which can be used. So, in upcoming days, we have to use virtual labs or those technology which may not be available in physical form. So, how to make a cost-effective, scalable, and more connected environment that benefits the entire campus? We have to both see the operational cost as well as capital cost so that it can reduce, it is cost effective and institution can afford it. So we can find out some infrastructure as a service, IaaS solutions which are available in these areas. Unified campus framework which delivers collaboration among all stakeholders should be identified and used by the university. So we have to use appropriate framework or softwares which integrates the network, security applications, and finally it can deliver the contents to the students seamlessly. So there exist cloud solutions, many software-defined networks, Wi-Fi networks. These are the technology which are now available, affordable cost, and if you use it, then we can have this better learning experience for our students. It is better to follow open standards for scalable solutions and deploying and managing open source software which implement cost-effective solution for the learning contents. So these are my suggestions and recommendations what should be adopted by the academicians or institutions for better IT infrastructure to meet the requirements of online learning. This is the last slides. So it summarizes that because of this COVID, it was unplanned and rapid movement for online learning, where teachers without proper training had started these activities because there was no choice. There was a problem of bandwidth, little preparation at teachers level. So initially there was a poor user experience, but students have also learned, teachers have learned how to use this technology so that they can deliver their lectures, they can uh, go for project presentations, evaluation of students. So in these 2-3 months, we all have learned that how technology can be utilized for doing online assessment, online learning. So integration of information technology and education will be further accelerated, and that online education will eventually be part of our education. So along with physical classes or campus which will live, let us use this online technology that will add on that we can have a better experiences, learning experiences of the students. So this is from my side, how that yes, we realize that yes, we have to use IT technology in our education to meet out the challenges of today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
That
That
was
was
a
a
really
really
knowledgeable
knowledgeable
presentation,
presentation,
and
and
that's the
that's the
reality
reality
because
because
if this
if this
pandemic
pandemic situation continues, then ultimately we have to make a lot of infrastructural changes, both from the perspective of the university as well as from the perspective of the students. Now we will take some questions from the participants. You can ask the questions through chat box, and we will put up to the speakers. Okay, Dr. Nair, there is a question that with respect to a fresher, what is the better option, that whether he should go for higher studies or go for some kind of job seeking perspective?
Dheeraj, I'm sorry, I couldn't quite grab the question. Is the question that
Sir,
considering the situation, should a student go for higher education or for a job? Is that the question?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh, that's a tough question. I mean, should you go for higher education? Yes, you should go for higher education. Uh, should I go for a job? Uh, yeah, if you get one, you should go for a job as well. But there are multiple things to consider when you are faced by such a challenge. Today, the situation is not conducive for a job environment. There is remote working all around the place. Proper guidance for a first job will not be there for you as a student, which is extremely important for being a great professional, for being a lifelong learner. I would suggest, if there is a possibility of working on projects and still continuing with your education, or start taking skilled based programs, that would be a very, very good choice for a student who is just finishing an undergraduation, right? Option two would be, if there is an opportunity to work for an organization or for a project or something like that, and still continue being in touch with your education side, right? That's the other way. So you put your job first, and studies as an add-on, or the other way around. Today, I think across industries and maybe some IT companies like health tech, edtech, are hiring very high, but otherwise, the job scenario is a little bleak. For the next 6 months, it's going to remain like that. So I suggest, think about higher education and think about skilled based, or developing based higher education. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yeah, sure, sir. There is one more question with Dr. Suresh, and that what are the better options for a faculty
at
at
this
this particular
particular
end?
Can you repeat this question, Dheeraj?
So the
So the
question is
question is
that
that
because
because
faculties
faculties
are
are
also
also
facing
facing
the
the
crisis
crisis
because
because
of
of
this
this
pandemic
pandemic
situation.
situation.
Right.
So
So
what
what
exactly
exactly
are
are
the
the
better
better
options,
options,
or
or
what
what
are
are
the
the
enhancements
enhancements
that
that
can
can
do
do
in
in
their
their
profile
profile
so as
so
to
as to
survive the
survive the
situation?
situation?
This is a rather better time for faculty because now they can devote more time for learning. So teachers can never be unemployed provided they hold the desired skill sets. And this is a big challenge if you are teaching in the engineering, especially in computer science. So the subjects which you are supposed to teach, you never learned during your education. So let us develop this ability where lot of contents are available, where you can learn from this. Like one is Coursera, many of our faculties, they are learning from the world's top professors what they deliver in their class that is easily available. So let us enhance our skill sets so the fear of unemployability will be lost and you will be more suitable for your students. Let us guide students at least because you are the point, you are the touch point of the students. Connect with the industry people, experts, and you can translate better with the students. This is, I think, this is from my side. Thank you. Sir, you want to add?
I just wanted to add on. I think this opportunity is actually fantastic for faculty. The work for a faculty has multiplied, many times because of the inherent change that's going to happen in the education system. There is a basic change from what you've been providing to students as teaching content. Now, over the last many years, as faculty, you have developed teaching content. Now, with the advent of technology and or education being, a digital fabric on education, I think that content needs to be changed to learning content. There is a big difference between teaching content and a big difference between that and learning content. So all the content that you have today, you will slowly have to move towards learning content. Second, today you are helping students in subjects. Tomorrow you will have to work with students to be guide, to be a coach, to be a mentor, all this. And this essentially means that your ability to grasp a particular area has to be much more. That means your contribution to research in that area, your contribution to industry participation in that area has to be multifold. Again, your workload is going to increase in that manner. Third area, your experience itself. You are today now in a system where most faculty will become irrelevant if you do not have certain qualification to teach, right? And more when things change with UGC, AICT, any new body or any new framework that will come for education, there are going to be basic or there are going to be benchmarks for your qualification. So there is a lot of areas that you need to look at in terms of improving your skills, upgrading yourself, going for your PhD, your UGC net examinations, etc. So actually you have a lot of work. I just thought I'll add on that.
Thank you.
Okay, now the question is that Dr. Nair, that what are the areas that will be benefited?
Because of COVID situation.
Sorry, Dheeraj, I didn't catch that question. What are the areas?
What are the areas that will be benefited out of this COVID situation? Say if we'll be working from home, yeah.
I don't think anybody is going to benefit anything from COVID. COVID is a nuisance. I think we should get rid of COVID. I don't think there's any benefit to COVID at all. But because of COVID, the world has changed, right? Our outlook, our mindset have changed. And because of that changed mindset, there are a lot of areas in business, in the whole ecosystem that will change. If you look at edtech space, there's a lot of demand for online learning. So any online learning platform today has a lot more pull from the education ecosystem, from students to faculty to university to other education institutions. So that is an area of a lot of pull. Second is if you look at all the tech-based domains. There's a lot of pull in doing things online. So any online physical retail is almost dead, right? And more so because of social distancing, the access to physical retail is going to be very less. So anything which is e-commerce mode is seeing a lot of traction. And some of the reports that I see around, I think e-commerce will see a growth in 2021. whereas you look at hospitality or any other industry that's going to have a degrowth. At most, will have a similar pathway for 2020, the 2021. So I think many of these areas will probably just about manage to do what they've been doing, 2 years. Some of these areas, the technology domains, and anything which can, increase social distancing or do not have, direct access to people in terms of physical spaces, in terms of physical touch points, those areas will increase. So if you're looking at a business that way, yeah, you should be looking at a business which is online. Dheeraj, I hope
one more question is there, sir. The question is that how IT will benefit a common man after this COVID situation. Means once this is over, hope so. So how IT will benefit?
Sir, IT is going to benefit multifold because of COVID, basically because anything will have a digital fabric around it, right? Your universities, to any business today will have a digital fabric. Work from home means ubiquitous connectivity to various stakeholders. That means there is a lot of growth for any of those social media, any of those video conferencing engines. All schools today have started, working towards from digital payments to digital, that means there is a whole infrastructure of digital that's going to be built. With the advent of 5G, that means this accessibility of technology to a larger mass of India is going to increase. That means more and more Indian audience or Indian citizens will have access to technology that is available, technology that can help, technology that can deliver livelihood, technology that can deliver even essentials, right? So every citizen in the country will benefit because of improved infrastructure. I think 5G is going to enable that for India. And of course, you've seen what is happening in the telecom space. So there's going to be a lot of massive collaboration between various technology elements, telecommunication companies to provide service, live serving service, essentials to people. That means IT will hugely benefit. So if you look at any IT domain that students get into, there is a growth in employability, even that area. So a cloud, there's a lot of growth in cloud employability, artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, any technology you look at, there's a lot of employability growth that will happen in the IT sector because of the boom, because of the digital fabric being put around life as a general.
One last question is that how learner should also be facilitated. That is the first and foremost thing. So whatever be the infrastructure we are having, with this infrastructure, what best learner can do to get the knowledge?
Dheeraj, today the learners world has just opened up to very, very new possibilities. Every university, every education institution or any education service provider always had some amount of content, some amount of learning experience already there on an online mode. Technology has enabled students to access access to all these learning environment. Today, a student, in a remote part of the country wants to access a course done from Stanford. It is available through platforms like edX and Coursera. Now, what is going to happen is it's going to accelerate this growth, accelerate the access of technology to students, accelerate the access to any part of the learning ecosystem to students. That which essentially means that any student can connect with any kind of learning ecosystem right out there. And learning need not be restricted to walls of a university, walls of a classroom. Learning has just opened up to anywhere, anytime available, which is a huge value to the learner. learner now today is not just looking at knowledge, is also looking at improving his skill, his hands-on experience in the space. That which is a lot of these companies like IoTify and a lot of these virtual lab companies have now opened up to provide this kind of access to the learner. And COVID has accelerated that growth. So from a learner perspective, there is a lot of options out there. Now it's going to be like the Google of the world. So a learner will have to choose the best and what is best befitting him in his learning journey. So creating your own individual learning path today becomes very, very important. And then access to and use technologies to access to various learning pathways. That's what the learner today has to do. But the access now is there. The opportunity is there for the learner.
Okay. Thank you, sir. There are a lot of questions, but I request to all the participants that we'll try to connect with our speakers on that later on. And definitely we will be answering your questions and we'll be replying to your mail. Okay. Now I take this honor to thank Dr. Nair for such a wonderful and informative session, sir. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Dr. Suresh Jain for his knowledgeful presentation. My sincere thanks to Dr. Sunil K. Somani for his guidance and support that is always being there with us.
Dheeraj, you're on mute.
I also like to thank participants because without you, this webinar wouldn't be a success. Okay, my last thanks, but not least, to the support team. Thank you all. There was an announcement that feedback link is already shared to your Zoom account, and also it is there on the Facebook page. So just give the feedback, and certificates will be available within 1 week to the university website. Thank you.